In the heart of a fertile African plains, in a village surrounded by Asian baobab tree and the distant sounds of drumming, lived a young woman named Akos. She was known far and wide for her beauty, skin smooth as ebony, eyes that sparkled like the morning dew, and a smile that could light up the darkest night. Many young men admired her, but none more so than Kojo, a prosperous farmer and a man of deep faith. Kojo had watched Akos grow from a spirited girl into a striking young woman. He admired her confidence and grace and believed she would make a fine wife. When he finally gathered the courage to ask for her hand, Akos accepted without hesitation. Thrilled by the idea of marriage, the village celebrated with great fanfare, with dancing, singing, and feasting that lasted for days. But when the celebration ended, reality set in. The first few weeks of their marriage were blissful. Kojo worked in the fields whilst Akos adjusted to her new role. However, it wasn't long before cracks began to show. One evening, after a long day of laboring under the scorching sun, Kojo returned home expecting the comforting smell of dinner cooking and the warmth of a welcoming embrace. Instead, he found Akos lounging on the sofa, engrossed in a television drama with the house in disarray and no food in sight. Akos, Kojo called out, trying to keep his voice steady. "I am home." Akos barely glanced. "Oh, you are back? I am just watching my show. Help yourself to something if you are hungry." Kojo's heart sunk. He had heard stories of marriages where the wife was the heart of the home, ensuring everything was in place. But this was not what he was experiencing. Days turned into weeks, and the situation did not improve. Each night, Kojo would come home to find Akos lost in the world of television, indifferent to the responsibilities of their household. The frustration within him until one evening he could no longer contain it. "Akos," he said, his voice trembling with suppressed anger, "we need to talk." She looked at him, her face impassive. "What is there to talk about?" Kojo took a deep breath. "I did not marry you just to have a companion in name. A wife is meant to be a partner, to share in the responsibility of our home, to nurture and care for our life together." Akos scoffed. "Is that what you think? I am your wife and that should be enough. I wasn't taught to cook or clean. My parents never expected that from me. Why should you?" "Because marriage is about more than just the title," Kojo replied, his voice rising. "The Bible says a wife of noble character is worth far more than rubies. She provides for her family, works with willing hands, and brings good to her husband. But here I am, coming home to empty house and a cold hearth." Akos folded her arms, her eyes narrowing. "You knew who I was when you married me, Kojo. If you wanted a servant, you should have married someone else. I won't change for you or anyone." The argument erupted like a storm, with both of them saying things that could be unsaid. Kojo's patience, already stretched thin, finally snapped. "If this is how you see this marriage, then maybe this isn't the marriage I prayed for," he said coldly. The days that followed were filled with silence and resentment. The rift between them grew wider until it was a chasm that could not be breached. Finally, with heavy heart, they decided to separate. The village was shocked, but no one could change their minds. Akos, now alone, refused to admit any fault. She lived in bitterness, blaming Kojo for everything. But as the years passed, loneliness and reflection softened her heart. She began to see the truth in Kojo's words. She realized that she had entered marriage with a selfish mindset, expecting everything and giving nothing. One day, with a heart full of humility, she sought out Kojo. She found him in the village square, surrounded by the familiar sounds of life. "Kojo," she called softly, her voice trembling. Kojo turned, surprise and a hint of weariness in his eyes. "Akos," he replied, his tone neutral. She swallowed hard, gathering the courage to speak. "I was wrong," she admitted. "I didn't understand what it meant to be a wife. I thought marriage was just about being together, not about building something together. I see now that I was selfish and blind to what you were asking of me. Kojo's expression softened, but he said nothing, waiting for her to continue. I don't expect us to go back to what we were, Akos continued, but I wanted to say that I am sorry. I have learned what I should have known all along, and I hope you can forgive me. Kojo looked at her for a long moment, then nodded again. I forgave you long ago, Akos, he said quietly. I only hope you found peace within yourself. Akos smiled, a small smile, a sad smile. I have, and I have learned. I only wish I had understood sooner. Though they never remarried, Akos and Kojo parted as friends with mutual respect and understanding. Akos went on to become a mentor to the young women of the village, teaching them the lessons she had learned the hard way. That marriage is not just about being a wife, but about embodying the spirit of a wife, a partner, a nurturer, and a builder of a shared life. Akos also taught the parents that they should train their child in a way that when they grow, they will not depart from it, as saith the Bible.